This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Brig of Perich,
Phil
Pitts.
Phil me and Perich.
Yes, and as my eternal sidekick, young man, Tristan, with the power of 3 stands. Tristan, what was your question to ask? Yes, you can read my Marvel Tales from 1967. It's a good book, man. You'll enjoy it. Because we're all about those old classic comics in the Esser household nowadays. Because that's all there is to read. J. Jonah St. Jameson looks very weird in that issue, yes. Steve Ditko drew him. Honestly, it looks like he should be an attraction at Asbury Park, the way he drew him. He's got this gigantic face. Trust me. Hey, I'm going to say it. Tristan, you might be able to draw better than Steve Ditko. Yes, I said it! Never liked Ditko's art.
At Charlie Esser.
You like his Spider-Man. Well, so did Stan Lee. That's exactly why he got the job. He didn't like Kirby's Spider-Man. He liked Ditko's Spider-Man.
Because he drew him?
He was too big. He was too heroic. He was too heroic looking.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ditko drew him like a teenager because he was a teenager.
Yeah. Well, and this is what, to its extent, where I think McFarlane got a lot of his influence when he drew Spider-Man, which was a very spindly, thin Spider-Man, rather than the more traditionally heroic Spider-Man that we're mostly familiar with.
Well, and I mean, McFarlane had him contorting in a bunch of different shapes,
Yeah. Well, but in both Ditko and McFarlane, I think there's a lot of reference to the grotesque.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I always say about McFarlane's art, is that it really loves the grotesque. It loves the idea of the character with the over-exaggerated features.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did Spawn. He does a lot of toys now. Yeah. Yes, he's the guy who makes McFarlane toys. He's basically goth Santa. Hey, the man made his bones, and he says, "You know what? I want to make toys for a living. I want to be Santa Claus, but I'll charge."
Enterprising Canadian,
He's a very enterprising Canadian, and I have nothing against Mr. McFarlane. Because he does make, I've actually always liked his art as much as I am not a fan of the grotesque. I feel that he really sells it. He makes the grotesque. And I always feel that anytime anyone tries to do McFarlane's style,
mm-hmm.
it looks really bad. And probably in the same way that when people do Ditko style, it looks bad.
Exactly.
When you try to ape Ditko style and you try to ape McFarlane's style. Ditko's the guy who drew that thing, who made J. Jonah Jameson look like a sideshow attraction.
All right. You want to get to this list? I got 5 things on here, I think.
You got 5 things? Wow, I only remember 3. But yes, give me one!
Well, we know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We'll probably save that. The Disney hat trick.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah. So, the Disney hat trick. Okay, so the Disney hat trick is related to the other item, which is, let me see if I can remember it now, the DetecTrekMarvWars, which is actors, writers, or directors who have put their stamp on both a DC property, a Marvel property, a Disney property, or actually not a Disney property, but a Star Wars property, and a Star Trek property. And now there's a lot of fighting about this because apparently some obscure show, I never listened to it, it's called This Week in Geek, has what they consider a similar thing, which is they give an award. First off, it's not an award, it's an achievement. And that's the thing. That's a differentiation here. Because they're looking to give an award, and I think they're including Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones. And although those are cute little stories that people like, I get it. They're not expanded universes. And let me make my point here, is that when you look at Star Wars, when you look at Marvel, when you look at DC, and when you look at Star Trek, these are all universes that are not single point driven. Meaning that they are universes that expand well beyond what any individual creator ever made and created an empire of stories and canon that goes well beyond whatever it is. Not too loud, Tris. And I think that, so for example, when you look at Lord of the Rings is 4 books. And, the sesquipedalian, or whatever that other, like, poetry thing is. The thing that Stephen Colbert likes a lot. Yes, there is this lore to it. There is some additional canons and book, but it's one guy, J.R.R. Tolkien, and everything is within that. So that someone has made movies within it based on it, I don't think that's an expansive universe. Because there's nowhere for it to grow. There's no new blood coming into it. And I feel similarly about the Harry Potter verse for the same reason. Now, maybe at some point, J.K. Rowling will not be the thrust of it, but I think she always will be. When you look at DC, when you look at Star Trek and Star Wars, in both of these cases, there was this effort to encourage other voices in the conversation. So that although, Stan Lee may be the father of Marvel Comics, in his own way, along with Ditko and Kirby, and they had a lot of fathers there. This is basically an episode of, not Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, yes. That although Stan Lee may have been influential, he is not the only voice and has not even been a voice in Marvel Comics for decades of its growth. And the same can be, and when you get to something like the DC universe, very much the same thing, where it is so many other voices in the DC universe making it. Now, Star Wars was this long before that, because, George Lucas made one movie, and they said, let's get someone else to do all the rest. I'll put my producer's stamp on this, but really, I'm going to let the canon grow and evolve naturally, as all myths should. The same thing with the Star Trek universe. Although Roddenberry did keep a tight leash on it, the novelizations were always freeform. And since Roddenberry's passage, it has gone to a lot of other people. Brendan Braga definitely put his own stamp on it after Roddenberry was not 100% there. Yeah. When it was just Majel and him sort of being the architects. And so I think that Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, and DC both exist in a canonical world that goes beyond what you'll find in a Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. Because everyone's, when I posted this on Facebook, when I'm saying, well, what other genre should be in there? It was like, oh, Battlestar Galactica. It had 2 shows. And it's like, yes, Battlestar Galactica, great. It's a good show. And I love Battlestar Galactica, don't get me wrong. But when you look at it as far as cultural influence beyond its own self, and that's what I think it really is. It's about, does this thing have a cultural influence beyond its own self? So when Kevin Smith talks about using the Force in Mallrats, I think that is a point in history that is a little bit beyond what anything Battlestar Galactica currently occupies. Yeah. The most you'll get is a reference to a specific character in a specific show, but not an esoteric concept from it.
I agree that Star Wars has probably made a bigger impact than Battlestar Galactica, but also Kevin Smith admits, he's been a fan of Star Wars since he saw the first one as a child, too.
Well, yeah. Well, as are a lot of people who saw Star Wars. Turns out, Philip, Star Wars pretty popular. Popular. I think they're going to sell their toys. But but that's my idea. So my idea is that let's look at who has these 4 franchises, and as people have pointed out, is that 2 of those franchises are owned by one company, which is Disney.
Yes.
Which I think is an interesting thing, because it does show that, okay, 2 of them are owned by Disney, but you have to get all 4. And in truth, I don't think anyone actually has all 4. Most of these people have 2 or 3, especially if you want to limit it to things that are much more canonical. So, for example, if you want to say the Marvel is just the MCU,
mm-hmm.
You immediately take Patrick Stewart out of it. Because he's Star Trek and he's X-Men,
yes,
but he's not canonical MCU. You see? Now, with DC, I feel you can be a little more freeform because there is not really a DCEU. There's an Arrowverse, and there's a DCAU. Because we realized, because the inspiration for this was Rosario Dawson. For those who don't know, Rosario Dawson is going to be in the new Mandalorian as fan favorite character Ahsoka, who is Anakin's former Padawan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, I know. She will be Ahsoka in the Mandalorian series, which Ahsoka, is it Ahsoka? I always thought there's an H in there.
Well, there's an H, but I think they...
Oh, you don't pronounce it. It's a silent H. Why would you have a silent H? You're just messing with people now.
You tell him, Tristan.
Irish?
Tell him, Tristan.
Gaelic is like that. They'll put in just letters. Like, no, that's a silent letter. It's like, it's a D. Whoever heard of a silent D? No, it's silent.
It's a made-up thing. Why do you put silent letters
why
in
would
there?
you put a letter in it if it's not a language that uses a Latin alphabet to be silent? It does not make sense. There's no Latin alphabet involved. You should be spelling things phonetically. If you want it to be pronounced Ahsoka, then you don't put an H in it. I'm sorry. When it comes to linguistics, I am quite adamant on these things. Me and Merriam-Webster would have gotten along very, very nicely because he also believed, don't put those extra letters in there. They aren't important. Don't put them in it.
Do not make me thrash you with the dictionary, sir.
Yes. And it was Noah Webster, not Merriam-Webster. Merriam also did the Merriam-Webster dictionary together. Before you all yell at me, I corrected myself. I did correct myself, Don't be going no Oxford English dictionary. Those Brits will stick a letter into anything.
Hell.
Hey-o, I'm just saying, don't get me started on British spellings, man. I love Canada. I actually do like putting U's in things. I'll be honest with you, it does make me feel fancy when I put an extra U in a word. But I pronounce that U. So I'll say couleur or flavor. I don't just call it color or flavor, because if you put a U in there, I'm going to pronounce that dang U.
Flavor.
Exactly. So, anyway, where was I? Yes. So, Rosario Dawson made this point that it's her goal now that and she was just talking about Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yes.
Forgetting that she's already in the MCU. And is one of the few people, along with Ming-Na, who has the Disney hat trick. Which is Star Wars, Marvel, and a Disney animated property.
Ooh.
Rosario Dawson was in a Tinkerbell video, or Tinkerbell film. And, of course, Ming-Na, is Mulan, Agent May, and was recently in The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Disney hat trick. There are several people who have the Disney hat trick, I'm sure, but that's a real interesting achievement, being in all 3 groups of properties, But I don't think anyone actually has a DetecTrekMarvWars. So that's the goal, is someone that can get into Detective Comics, a Detective Comics property, because we do not have a DCEU yet. Now, if we ever get a DCEU yet, we might have to tighten up the reins over there, because then it's going to be like, well, that's Arrowverse, that's not DCEU. But since DCEU isn't having a connected universe yet, you can't hold people responsible for it. And in that, Rosario Dawson has been all over the DCAU. You know, she is her record's there. I don't even know what she's playing there, but she is in a lot of shows in the DC animated universe. And of course, she is in Marvel, and she is in the MCU as the Netflix night nurse. And while people will say that's not really DC, that's not really Marvel canonical universe, by every statement we have from Marvel, that is Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Marvel Connected Universe. And now she's going to be in the Star Wars universe, so she's got the hat trick there.
Mm-hmm.
And if she gets into that Star Trek universe, if she can find a way in, then she may be the only person with the full DetecTrekMarvWars.
All right, I'm going through her giant filmography here. She did do the voice of Artemis for the Wonder Woman animated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still scrolling, but yeah, so she was at least in one, you know.
No, I was going through this earlier because that's how I actually found out that she was in a Tinkerbell film.
Oh, in Justice League Throne of Atlantis, she actually was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, no, she's been in a lot. Trust me, I did do my research into this for Rosario Dawson.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted the actual titles. Yeah, Justice League vs. Teen Titans, Justice League Dark movie.
Yeah.
Oh, the Lego.
Keep going. You'll see. There's a lot of them.
The Lego Batman movie. Remember, she was Barbara Gordon. Yes.
Which really I think is really one of her real big selling points in this entire argument, because like not only is she in the Warner's universe, but she's in the Lego Batman universe.
Yes.
Which I think is in its own way its own achievement unlocked.
I mean, she was in Sin City in the sequel to that.
Was that DC?
I think it was.
I thought that was an indie comic. I didn't think that was Sin City. I didn't think Sin City was actually. I thought that was Dark Horse. I don't know. I mean, she is a fan favorite. That's sort of how she gets in this spot. Is like people really like Rosario Dawson.
It's Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's basically in every comic book thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's Men in Black 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that, of course, is another indie book. So that's an interesting thing. It's like you could put an I in there for indie comic properties. Because I was actually debating it. Should we have something that is just sort of a blanket term for, and they were also in an indie comic property? Because then you can give that extra thing to a guy like Chris Evans,
mm-hmm.
who is in Scott Pilgrim, the Scott Pilgrim books, I forget what that was called. But I don't think he's ever been in a DC property. Now, Chris Pine was in Wonder Woman, Star Trek, and I believe someone has suggested that he was in a Star Wars property, but I don't know what Star Wars property he was in.
Oh man,
I don't think he's ever been in the MCU.
I mean, she's really doing hat tricks here. She's been in music videos. She's done the voices for video games too. So I mean, she's really.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, Rosario Dawson. If anyone's going to be the first recipient of the DetecTrekMarvWars, it will be Rosario Dawson. I believe that.
Oh yeah.
Especially now that she's put herself on the radar, saying, "I would love to do a Star Trek." Because even if she just Kelsey Grammer's it and shows up at the end of Picard one episode as Admiral Darsario Rawson, that counts, man.
Oh yeah.
Because I was actually thinking, man, does Kelsey Grammer have one of these? I was like going through Kelsey Grammer. I was like, well, he was in Star Trek,
Yes, he was.
And he's been in a lot of other, and he was the Beast.
X-Men, yes.
I would give him that. I'd give him that,
Mm-hmm.
Because, for that, it's like, well, maybe we will expand. We'll give Patrick Stewart, being in both universes too, if we can find the extra stuff. Because people did say that Patrick Stewart should get something for being in Dune too. But again, Dune isn't an expansive universe. That's the problem. It's because, and this is the thing, those guys over at This Week in Geek. I don't know where. That's somewhere on the Southgate Media Group. I don't know. I hear there are people on it.
It doesn't even come out regular. Come on.
Who knows? It's This Week in Geek. Which week? That's what I say. Hey, you gotta throw some shade. So people are like, who are these people?
I get so much right.
You gotta harness the hate, Phil. You gotta harness the hate. But remember, Phil, there's no hate on Uranus.
Oh.
Anyway, so what was I saying? This Week in Geek, they want to make this kind of they want to make it kind of an award, but I feel like it is an achievement, and I think that rather than saying, oh, this person did a good job in it, I want to say, no, this person is so good they got asked to do these things. So Rosario Dawson, no one's trying to have her get a DetecTrekMarvWars, but she is so good that people are going to say, you know what, I would like to bring her in. That's why she's all over the DCAU. That's why she's doing Marvel television and was pulled up for Star Wars television on Disney Plus and The Mandalorian. And I would love to see this kind of thing branch out. Now, again, I'd love to see Patrick Stewart in the MCU. Who's an old person in the MCU? Obviously he'd be great for an Elder of the Universe. Oh, he would be great as a Contemplator.
Oh, yeah, he's bald.
Yeah. Well, I could just see him being very zen and very calm. Oh, or who he would? He'd actually be if he'd grow his beard out. If he'll go. Oh, because if you remember, what was that? X-Men, the second time they did the Phoenix, where he wakes up in the bed, he's got the big beard. Have him be the gardener. He would be a great gardener. Oh, I would love to see Patrick Stewart as the gardener, as an Elder of the Universe. And James Gunn, I know you're working on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Put the gardener in there, cast Patrick Stewart. Help him get well, no, he's already been in Marvel. Well, at least it'll get him that. So it's one step closer. So got to get him in a Star Wars property. That's what he needs.
Oh, all you need is the voice, but you know who Patrick Stewart could play? Mm-hmm. Two voices, either Galactus or Doom.
Oh, well, that'd be good. He could put on the armor too. I don't want to totally. I don't want to totally.
Well, I'm just saying. I think he's 78. I don't know if he wants to put on the armor, but do Darth Vader. Just have someone else in the suit and have him do the voice. James Earl Jones, that thing.
But I really want Curtis Armstrong as Dr. Doom. It is so perfect. Trust me. Whoever is casting the Fantastic Four film, if you're going to be forced to put Dr. Doom in it, go Curtis Armstrong. You will not regret it. Well, Curtis Armstrong, I think, looks like Dr. Doom. Make the armor look like Dr. Yeah, Tristan has been very, very judgmental about the Josh Trank Fantastic Four Dr. Doom armor. That doesn't look like Dr. Doom's armor.
Nothing like
and
that.
He's not too pleased with the other Fox Dr. Dooms, where he turns metal rather than having armor. I
don't like that either. Yeah, where he kind of grows it. Yeah, that's.
It's not as good.
That's the problem with all of those movies, the Trank one and the two ones before that. Doom is not in the cosmic gray storm with them. Doom does not have powers except whatever bargain basement magic he teaches himself.
Yeah, I know. He's a dabbler.
Petty dabbler.
But that's fine. It's enough for Reed Richards to reach out to Agatha Harkness and says, "You're good at magic, right?" And it's like, "Yes, I'm very good at magic." Well, because one of my villains uses magic. It's like, really? Who's your villain? Baron Mordru? No. Victor Von Doom. It's like, oh. Yes, I can handle Victor Von Doom. It's like there's like the Wizard and the Sandman and Paste Pot Pete. It's like, I got you. I'll keep Franklin safe.
Victor Von Doom. He has like the kids' chemistry set of magic. Come on.
Yes. Well, and to in his own statement, Doom is actually pretty. He's not humble about it, but he does acknowledge that he doesn't really know magic. That's why he made a deal to sacrifice his one true love to some demons. Because really, Doom is just a bad person. Yes, I do know Doom's mother is a witch. And, well, that is exactly where he learned some magic. Well, he was trying to find his mom because he knew his mom was taken in death. Yes, into the realm of Mephisto. Although then again, it's weird because Reed, when he rebuilds Doom's machine and fixes it, which actually might even be the entire reason why when Reed remade Doom's machine it worked, because Reed said, "Well, why would you look for your mother in the realm of Mephisto?" And of course, obviously Doom would have a reason to look for his mother in the realm of Mephisto. So Reed said, "Well, obviously that was his mistake. He was going the wrong way." It's like, no, he wanted to go down, but no, Reed made it go up, and it worked just fine. Yep, there we go. Here's heaven. Or the spot just before you get to heaven, the waiting area. And then Jack Kirby redrew the rocks on Ben because he had more stories to tell. And, as I've always said, that's the thing with Ben. And if you ever do Ben, please address the psychological nature of why he wants to be a rock monster, because he's afraid of what he'd be if he was a normal-looking person and he had this power. That's the thing. It's the whole body dysmorphia of superpowers. People very rarely deal with it. That's one of the things when I was reading the old Marvel comics, and you're looking at the strength levels of the heroes. And Mr. Hyde, who's about to take on Thor, he says, "I have the strength of 12 regular men." But then they show him lifting up a bus. Yes. But this was because in the original novel, his power was mostly just that he could step on people. If you remember the opening of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he literally just walks over someone and stomps on their head. It is just such a weird scene, man. And one I don't think I've ever seen depicted in a film adaptation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it is such a amazing scene, the way it's described, that you're like, why isn't this on film? In all of the adaptations, why has no one ever done Dr. Jekyll just curb stomping some random person just by walking over them? Anyway, moving right along. So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yeah, but no, in the old days, characters weren't as strong. Their powers were weaker, but then they have, of course, power drift, and everyone gets stronger. And then, because Thor got stronger, Mr. Hyde had to get stronger. The Wreckers had to get stronger. Everyone had to get stronger because they've already fought Thor.
Yes.
So as we make Thor fight the Hulk, and now the Hulk has to be stronger, everyone has to get stronger along with them.
Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, remember, the Wreckers got their powers from Loki, right?
Yes.
I wonder, can you imagine if they put something in a story where it's Loki, the spell Loki used, it's however strong Thor got, the Wrecking Crew would exponentially get that stronger?
Well, what's interesting about, because here's the interesting thing about that. Because I actually had a thought on that once in my never published Man Mountain Marco book, where he fights Crusher Krell, actually in that story, where Crusher Krell is like, "You can't beat me. I am Crusher Krell." And then all of a sudden he says, "Yeah, but you got your powers from Loki. And Loki's a trickster god. And because of that, your powers are tied to the magic of Asgard. And Loki always loses. So because of that, you're always going to lose every fight you fight in, because no matter who faces you, you're always going to get beat up, because that's how your powers work. Your powers aren't your powers. Your powers are part of a story. Mm-hmm. And that story always has you as the guy who gets beat up. So if you come at me, I'm going to beat you up because I know I'm on the side that the story is telling. It's all a bluff, of course. Yeah. But, this is my idea of Man Martin Marco, where he actually is way more intelligent than people give him credit for. Just because he gets hit a lot, just because he gets beat up a lot, doesn't mean he's dumb. This is my idea of who Man Martin Marco should be. I fell in love with Man Martin Marco because of one episode of a Spider-Man cartoon when I was 13. And he just seemed like such a cool character. He has since been completely I don't like where they've taken the character Man Mountain Marco over the years. But I think, like so many other characters, he could have a really good thing. But I've always thought that would be an interesting thing to point out, is that all these people have these powers that are based on magic, especially powers that are based on Loki, where Loki gives someone... And actually, technically, the Wreckers didn't get their power from Loki. They got their powers from Hela. The Wrecker gets it... The Wrecker got his powers from Hela because he snuck into Loki's hotel room.
Oh, yeah.
Put on Loki's hat, and Hela mistook him for Loki.
Yes.
Because it's the story. It makes for a good story, because Loki's the god of stories. So in that way, it all ties into it. And in that, Loki is the god of stories. And the fact that someone put on Loki's hat, which is such a freaking myth thing to have happen. Someone... Which is, why, of course, comic books are the modern myths, because, I'll put on the hat, the floppy hat and the trench coat, and I'm invisible. How could I know who it was? He was wearing a floppy hat and a trench coat. No one can see what a man looks like in a floppy hat and a trench coat. A baseball cap and glasses in the modern Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, yes.
I love you too, Tristan. We will find a time to go to the library. I don't know if the library is open right now. I know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know ours isn't open.
Nobody likes the virus. The virus sucks. Anyway, let's get over to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, season 7, we got a teaser.
We got a teaser! Oh! But did you see who's back in it?
What's her face? Yeah.
I don't know her name. I call her Flowers.
Yes.
Because that's what. Speaking of Mr. Hyde, that's what Kelvin Szabo called her, and formerly Kelvin Johnson, but he wanted a name that sounded more supervillainy, which is delightful.
But I mean,
she's in it.
Yeah, and the big thing we get is Coulson saying to save S.H.I.E.L.D. we have to save Hydra.
Well, this actually makes me wonder if, and this goes to that theory that Fitz and Simmons found the Time Variance Authority.
Maybe. Or, it could just be like Endgame saving the timeline. It's like, this happened, this has to happen. And
well, no, Philip. I'm going to go you one better.
Okay.
You know how Captain America goes back in time?
Oh, no. Does he almost stop Hydra from forming?
I think that's sort of the thing, is that they have to stop him in a way that and I think it's going to be this kind of thing where you're never actually going to see Cap.
Yes.
But they're going to be like, yes, we're tracking Captain America. He just returned the stones. Wait, he went back to 1945. Why is he in 1945? Why isn't he leaving 1945? What? We have an entire divergent timeline now. He's going to destroy Hydra, Just sort of. Well, if we can knock it back in one universe, then it'll be safe. So, Captain America ruined a lot of universes.
And isn't that going to create and what if that creates like a giant time paradox? Because it's like if Hydra doesn't form, maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't form. And wasn't it in the MCU? Wasn't it S.H.I.E.L.D. who pulled Cap out of the ice? Yeah.
Well, I'll go along those. Entirely. That could be the easy way. But yeah. I'm imagining a Time Variance Authority. I'm imagining something where, we have to keep Hydra in existence because Hydra infiltrates S.H.I.E.L.D. That we have to keep the timeline on pace, because otherwise, the timeline is going to cause problems. And there could even be a whole things about ruptured time, like they did in Legends of Tomorrow, where suddenly we're going to have dinosaurs running around, or as they did in Doctor Who, much better, where all times were suddenly one time. And, Shakespeare is on Good Morning America about pitching his new play. It's a great new show we've got. So, there's a lot of things they could do with that, but I think it's interesting that they give you that teaser that, Coulson says we're back to save Hydra. The Coulson bot, because this is an LMD. And what I also like about that is that we see Flowers, and we know that's got to be sometime in the present. Because he was interacting with Flowers. Flowers isn't immortal, because she doesn't get her powers until modern times. So even though she has inhuman DNA, unless that's supposed to be like Flower's grandma or something, maybe Flower's inhuman grandma. Maybe that's sort of the gag in that.
Yeah,
we're actually going to meet Flower's inhuman grandma. That could be a way they work it out. But then then it's like, oh yeah, we got to make sure that your granddaughter grows up on the streets of Taipei or Madripoor. And, we got Madripoor back. So yes, your granddaughter has to grow up on the streets of Madripoor as a street urchin just to maintain the timeline. But I wonder if that's going to lead into Loki, because that was something that was interestingly suggested recently about, one of the reasons why maybe Disney's being a little more cagey about everything right now is they actually have these timelines, and that's why they can't release Black Widow early, and they don't want to release it on video. It has to be in a theater and why they moved all of the MCU back, because this was an event movie that is kicking off Phase 4.
Yeah.
And is going to be very importantly tied into everything else, this, of course, is hobbling Disney at the same time. So they're taking this huge gamble that when they come out of this, they're going to be better because they waited. Because, of course, right now, HBO Max is coming in with their own projects, which will allow you to sit there and watch both boobs and then put on something for the kids later, without having to get out of your app.
Yeah.
Which is a lazy person is something I like to do.
Yeah.
I know Lilith says, no, you don't need that, but Lilith's a freaking pirate. She's on the high seas. She's like, I'll just BitTorrent that into my malware, and that fixes everything. I don't know. Yarg, exactly. And, that's not most people. So I think in that level, what is going to work for Lilith isn't going to work for everybody. And so I do think that's that's another advantage that AOL Time Warner is putting itself in, being in that spot, because part of me thinks Disney is censoring a lot more than people think.
Maybe.
Because I was watching Agent Carter, because I thought that would be a great thing for me and Maz to talk about next, especially since Sosa is supposed to show up in the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, crossover. I love it.
I love it, yeah. But, there's that scene in the first episode where she threatens the diner patron. And she grabs a fork to threaten him. But there's a part of my mind that's thinking, wait, didn't she grab a knife the first time I saw this? And I was trying to see if I could find it on another platform. I can't find it on another platform. So I don't know if she grabbed a knife or a fork to threaten to pierce his brachial artery. Okay, well, maybe you will. Yes. Talking about repainting his Five Nights at Freddy's figures. Okay, so can you think of anything else you want to talk about tonight, Philip?
Did you want to address the...
J. August Richards. Yeah. So, real quick. So, for those who don't know, J. August Richards, who is a wonderful character actor. He's a dramatic actor beyond just doing characters, but he is known to Marvel fans as Deathlock.
Yes.
He is known to Angel fans as Gunn.
James Gunn.
Gunn, I loved Gunn when he gets the memory download and then has to betray. It's so brilliant the way they do those last couple seasons of Angel. That is like the best Angel. Fight me, nerds. And then we'll go watch Superman 3 together. Because I get the feeling the stuff I like, it's always going to be in that Superman 3 area where it's like, it's super cool, but like real fans don't like it. It's like, yeah, well, you're not a real fan then. So, but, so he came out recently. He came out of the closet, and that's fine. That's great. Mazel tov. He should, if that's his truth, he should live his truth. But as soon as I come across this, notice everybody in the comments is saying, who cares? Who cares? Why does he have to say it? And I make this point of, if you take time out of your busy day, when someone makes an announcement to say, who cares? That really shows how much you really care about that thing.
Yeah.
That if you didn't care, you'd be like, oh, and it wouldn't even register because you didn't care. It's like, oh, okay, that guy's gay. good to know. I'll forget this 5 seconds later because who cares? You know.
I mean, it seems like there's people who do this almost as like another job. Because I mean, I'll see like articles, like I'll like follow Entertainment Weekly, and every so often they'll throw up like something about the Kardashians or something. People will be like, "Who cares? Who cares?" You know.
Yeah. Well, clearly you do.
Exactly.
Because that's the thing. It's like it's very easy to not click and not engage. And of course, the joke for anyone who engages when they don't care, that tells the algorithm, oh, this person cares. Let's send them more of this stuff. And then they'll keep on, because it's going to keep on engaging them, because they have to let the world know how much they don't care. And, for what it's worth, as they're going through how much they don't care, they'll always let it slip how much they really care. Mm-hmm. So every single time I'm engaging with one of these people online, I'm saying, well, no, because clearly you care. Because you keep on engaging me to tell me how much you don't care.
Yeah.
They will eventually say, oh, it's no big deal to come out as gay nowadays. And they can, they sue people over cakes. So clearly it's fine. And it's like, well, clearly if you're going to talk about whether or not, you can get a cake made and that's a big deal to you, to some people, apparently it is. It emphasizes the whole point that, and they will like write pages on this stuff to explain how,
they don't care.
Totally they're cool with it. They just wish people wouldn't talk about it, and it's like, you're missing the point. And so, yeah, it delights me and bothers me how much people feel I have to say I don't care. Because there's many things I don't care about. And you know what? Normally, I will look at it, and if I really don't care, I'll go, I don't care. So everyone will go, is this worth my time to comment on? I think this is stupid and silly, but you know what? I don't know. Someone might want to read it. So, if I actually don't care, I don't mention it. Yeah. I just move on to because there's more things on my feed to see. I can keep on scrolling,
Yes.
And in this day and age, there's always more to scroll. That's, because I know, those of us that are lucky enough to work from home, or those of us who are unfortunate enough not to be able to work from home and not be able to work at work, you got time on your hands, meaning that you can choose what you engage in. You can choose to engage in the things that you really care about, that you want to make a cogent and intelligent argument about, or you can make sure you jump on a bandwagon to say, I don't care! Look at how much I don't care! Did I mention that I am not caring right now? Because just so you know, I don't care.
Oh, look at me, not caring over here.
Exactly. What's fun is, like, other people really liked the point I made, and other people's are doing, it's like, wow, you actually looked for a GIF to say how much you don't care. That's how much you cared about this, that you're going to look for a GIF. What's the right GIF to say I don't care?
Is that like the modern version of, oh, I'm not racist. I have friends who are, whatever minority they're talking about.
Well, many people did mention their gay friends, so it absolutely is. It's like, okay.
I don't care. I have gay friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so I just find that funny. And, God bless J. August Richards. And yes. I believe he has a partner right now. I think that was one of the things. Because apparently a character he's playing now is gay. And he felt, I'm playing this gay character. I really need to be honest with myself and everyone else about this. And, people, and one of the things people would say is, oh, well, who cares? And it's like, you do realize this changes every part this guy's going to get for the rest of his life.
Oh, yeah.
That, in fact, one person said, oh, it's not like he lives in Saudi Arabia. It's like, well, yeah, but you know where his movies play? Saudi Arabia. It's like, he's a global actor in the MCU.
Yeah.
Let's be clear here. He is part of the MCU, which is a global company. And he is putting himself at risk and his future at risk by coming out. And I respect it and I acknowledge that. And to minimize that, I think is ridiculous, And honestly, I really don't care that he's gay, except for that, I say good for him that he's gay. Good for him that he can live his life. And that's the thing, is like, if you really don't care, if it's like, okay, that's cool. It doesn't change my opinion. You say good for him. Mm-hmm. What? Yes, go ahead and subscribe.
I mean, yeah, that was my thing. I scrolled down, I saw it, I was like, oh, hey, I was like, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know. And, Jai White, made a point, Michael Jai White.
Yeah.
Michael Jai White, I was kidding with, who I always get confused with Jaleel White. Their last name is White. Their name has a J. Don't at me, okay? You don't want to be associated with Jaleel White, then be more famous than him beforehand, okay? So Michael J. White and Jaleel White are the same person in my mind, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Oh my God!
But same as Morgan Freeman and Morgan Fairchild, they are the same person. I don't believe anyone who says different, but no, I know they aren't. But but for a long time because just my brain works funny. I know that. But he came out and he said, this is very cool of him. This is very great of him. And I really, and said very positive things about it, So it's like, that's how you deal with it. You are either positive or you say nothing, because to minimize it is an implication of your own negativity. So that's that, Philip. Why are you getting me on one more rant?
Oh, okay. I was going to say, we don't have to go. I know you probably wanted to finish, but do you want to just do an honorable mention? Because I did listen to the Marvels podcast this week.
Oh, yes. Oh, Marvels. Oh, man, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those of you who don't know, right now you can get the Marvels podcast for free with ads.
Yep.
Which, if you don't want ads, dude, go subscribe to Stitcher. They will happily give you it for free, first taste, no ads. And you and Maz Manzoor can listen to it without ads. And then, go listen to the other Capes and Lunatics podcasts, because we're also on Stitcher. So that's what's great.
And the ads aren't even that long. They're like 30 seconds maybe?
No, they're short ads. They're short ads. And if it covers their nut, then good, Yeah. But no, I am loving the Marvels podcast. It's based on the comics by, is that Ross and Straczynski?
No, it's I think it's Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. Yeah.
Busiek, yeah. You know what? Again, it's the S's in the middle. You put too many S's in your name, how am I supposed to tell? Too many S's, you're all the same person.
It's not like it's two E's in the middle.
Those are for quality. Actually, I do have two S's in my middle name, too.
Yes, you do.
So, honestly, if someday it says, wait, did you do Marvels? It's like, no. My name's Esser. That's Busiek. It's S's in the middle. I get it. I'm the same way. It's,
For quality.
Bing. Exactly. It's so good. Busiek and Ross's story is who? I don't know who Flumpty is. Brought into this radio play style. And what I really love about this is that this is set in the 60s.
Yes.
When radio plays were still actually technically a thing. That's like what's kind of cool about it. So it has that radio play quality of something so you're listening to it, it's like, this feels like something from the 60s.
Yes.
When you're listening to Wolverine, because it's set in the modern era, I think there is this disconnect for it. And by the way, Wolverine the Long Night and Wolverine the Road Home, was it? Or
it was the Road something.
Yeah, the Long Night and the other one's something about a road. But anyway, those are good. And I really like them. And honestly, if you're an X-Men fan, it's great. But this is and also this, not only is this the 60s, this is the Marvel 60s. Meaning that there are X-Men, there are Avengers, there are the Fantastic Four. All of the things that are in the Marvel Universe are in this series. So if you ever wanted to watch something that was a truly connected Marvel Universe with really good actors and really good writers and really good story, this is for you. So.
Oh, yeah. And I for a fan of Marvel, you get that classic, Stanley, coming of Galactus story. I love how they call out too, because they talk about Empire State University, and I think doesn't she say, "Oh yeah, there's protests here all the time," and it's like that's like every other issue of Spider-Man. There's like a protest at Empire State University.
Oh, and I love her just hanging out with Pete.
Yes,
Pete the photographer. He's just great. It's just everything about it is really awesome and really fun. And, I love, did you listen to the Thing episode?
Yes, I listened to them all so far, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is, first of all, again, a really great thing. And that's the thing, is all the actors in this are just really great for the characters and the stories they're telling.
Oh, yeah.
And, as I said, you say it's not J.K. Simmons. I'm still not convinced.
I mean, in the credits, it says it's not him, but
not in the announced credits. That's what bothers me.
But I mean, the guy, I think there's a slight difference, but he does like a pretty good J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson.
I know, and it is really great. It is very enjoyable. Everything about this. It's like, it makes me wish I was still riding the subway. Because just to sit and listen to this story is so much fun and so enjoyable. And so I recommend that to everybody. Yeah, and I don't have anything to say deeper than that. I don't really have a lot of lore with it because obviously it's all established comic book lore, although it is its own group. And we actually have a female protagonist character in there who's our plucky girl reporter, who is not Betty Brant.
Yes.
Which is fun, just to have a plucky girl reporter, not Betty Brant, who's actually going to be our own point of view character in this. So,
and the X-Men aren't in it, but they found a way to include mutants.
Yeah, well, we don't know the X-Men aren't in it.
Well, not yet. I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, her friend seems real close to Pyro. He's not because he dies. But sorry, spoilers. But yeah, the idea, that idea that there are. They bring in the mutants, they call it the Black Panther Party, and the Black Panther Party aligning with the mutants, which I thought was a really good thing. It's like, no, they don't deserve to be hated any more than we do. And that's like, it is a really great analysis of like, okay, if you lived in a superpowered universe and there was anti-mutant prejudice, how might real-world prejudices interact with those things?
Yeah.
And that I loved. And it's just, there's just so much going on.
And just conspiracies. I love how people, it's like, of course, wouldn't you be like, if someone just suggested, the whole Galactus thing was a hoax. Of course, Reed Richards had to have done it.
Yeah, well, that is absolutely what J. Jonah Jameson might do. I mean, just reading this most recent episode of Marvel Tales from 1967, where J. Jonah Jameson is convinced that Spider-Man is a coward, as he always knew. So, and that again is just all these things that just, and I love the fact that everyone kind of hates J. Jonah Jameson, both in the 1960s, the actual 1960s comic books, where they're like, he's the boss, we hate him, but he does what he does. And that they do capture that where, like, people do see him as that, grinning monstrosity that Ditko drew. So, I like it. It is really good. It is really, really good. Why does Donald Duck's beard grow when he's on an island? Why did, the feathers get longer? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. DuckTales universe, we never really did talk about Gadget in Double O Duck, but because actually I do have a deeper lore theory that ties in the Rescue Rangers theories, but we'll try and talk about that next week.
I don't have a big list, Phil.
I have lists, Phil, but I don't remember them until I see the inspiration on TV. That's why I keep the TV running. It's like, oh yeah, that. Oh hey, yeah, you know what that thing is? I'm all about memory cues, Phil.
Remind me, Magic Picture Box.
Remind me, yes, the mighty box, which is wise in many things.
Oh.
Yes, the magic glowing box. It is wise in many things. Okay, wise in many things. It's my favorite line. That is from the Incredible Hulk Returns, where he fights Thor, and Thor says to Banner,
"Oh yes,"
says, Blake tells me you are wise in many things, but if you find a way to sever the link between me and he, I will destroy you. And he's like, and Banner's like, please don't make me angry. Please, just calm down. But Thor is like, hey, because Thor's a jerk.
You and your troll, Banner.
Oh, yeah, that troll I fought. Oh. Yes. By the way, I did pick this up because I was hoping for a much more sympathetic portrayal, a Conan-esque portrayal of Attila the Hun. No. It's all very, the Huns are the bad guys, and our Confederate general is the good guy, Jeb Stuart. It's like, historically, this story doesn't hold up, because actually Attila the Hun was really kind of seen as a liberator by many people, and was known to be very egalitarian to his cohort with whom he worked.
Yeah, people.
As they, created their own wealth structure throughout the ancient world and basically mostly toppled corrupt regimes, which is why they were able to move forward so well throughout the environment. And, just a thing. Just going to say that. Okay, Philip. GI Combat. Pick it up at your local comic book store if they have long boxes and they're still open. Okay, Philip. Yeah, I think that's everything. Let's get out of here. Okay, so Philip, if people would like to reach out to you, how can they do so?
If you want to email me, you can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I'm at nightwingpdp. And remember to check out Capes and Lunatics, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. The voicemail is 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And support the sponsors,
Hunter Killer.
Pod
Life the book.
That's right. Tweaked Audio.
Tweaked Audio. And if you're going to buy any of these things, you know what I would suggest they do, Philip?
What
I would suggest they do?
What?
They should go down to those show notes. Just scroll down. I don't know if you're on YouTube, if you're on the podcast, whatever, just scroll down or scroll up, whatever you do on your phone. And find that link. That link to Amazon.com from us to you doesn't cost you a cent, but it actually, helps support everything you're seeing here. And we would really appreciate it. And, while you're there, you should actually look at Pod Life the book, a little book available in both paperback and Kindle. And if you are fascinated by the world of podcastery, that's a book for you because it really has the personal stories of people who have been podcasters, whose lives were saved by podcasting, and people whose lives were maybe not saved, but at least made better for having podcasted because it gave them the connection and a humanity that they did not know prior to entering into this weird and wonderful world of podcasting. So pick up Pod Life the book. You might enjoy it. It's not too expensive.
And if you're a fan of Charlie Esser and Superconnectivity, Charlie Esser mentioned in 2 different chapters.
I have heard this, but I don't like to toot my own horn, Philip. I'm not that flexible.
Whoa.
So, moving right along. If you would like to write to me about your own flexibility, or, why duck feathers grow long, it's because they eat too much bread. See? Look it up. It's true. Write to me in an old-fashioned email way. What?
What, boy?
Well, yeah, bread is dangerous for the ducks because it makes their feathers grow long. That's my point. All the ducks in Duckburg are eating too much bread. No, actually, the refined carbohydrates actually cause their feathers to their pin feathers to, or not their pin feathers, but their flight feathers to grow oddly. They grow more. Yeah.
Tristan, let him end
No. Yeah, it's no, but from what I've read, it's actually a problem with their feathers. So anyway, but you know what? For what it's worth, that's the point, is that the ducks in Duckburg no longer fly, so eating the bread causes the growth of feathers, but it's more esoteric, and they do shave and trim their feathers, so they don't really worry so much because they don't use their feathers for flight anymore because of the evolution of the bird beings.
Indeed.
In the DuckTales universe, which leads to the entire Rescue Rangers universe, which is tied to Double O Duck, which we'll get back to in another episode. But if you want to talk to me about all these things, write to me before we go on much too longer at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is coming back, which we've already mentioned, at Charlie Esser. And that's at CHARLIESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for connecting with us once again. Please, next week, come on back. Super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
What's your request, Tristan? The Silver Eyes comic book. I will ask them. I will text them later to look for the Silver Eyes comic book adaptation of the novelization by Scott Coffin. I'm sure they can find it for you, and we'll probably have to pay $500 for it. So, I'll find out.
That's right. Support your stores.
Yes, support your local comic store in these tough times.